So, in the next few days, we were descended upon of suits after suits after suits and after suits until all of us were sued for one thing or another, from smuggling to criminal acts or whatever, or all kinds of cases, including my grandchildren. I had 4 grandchildren then, and the eldest was the only one who could walk. The 3 could hardly walk. They were so young, and yet they had smuggling cases.
Grabe naman. Ayun, no? Grabe naman. Pati mga apo na wala yung maliliit, no? Hindi pa nga nakakalakad yung 3 nga daw. 4 yung grandchildren, yung isa pa lang ang nakakalakad. Malamang si Borgie, no? Eh, may mga kaso na rin. May mga... Paano nangyari yun? Mga karunungan, kaalaman, teorya, kasaysayan, hiwaga, at mga bagong tuklas. Alamin natin, alamin natin. Itong ating matutunghayan mga utol ay isang rare interview, no? Ang nakalagay nga rito, bakit hindi ito na-publish? Rare interview ito kay Imelda Marcos, kay dating First Lady Imelda Marcos, nung nasa Hawaii sila, nung nasa exile sila, yung pamilyang Marcos. Pero ito ay took place months after na mamayapa si dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos. So ito probably 1989. So nakalagay. So 1989 yung namayapa si Ferdinand Marcos. Mga utol, so pakinggan na natin ito at subukan natin i-publish, di ba? Pakalatin, no? Mula pala ito. Teka lang. Mula pala ito sa Pinas Reality TV. Subscribe niyo yung mga utol. Like nyo na rin yung video. Na-like ko na. Okay. Ilang buwan matapos mamayapa si Ferdinand Marcos. Etong interview na to. Ang buong kwento mula kay Imelda Marcos sa pagpapalayas sa kanila sa Pilipinas.
You have the power, but not necessary to use the power. This is the truly strength. This is.
That's the strength. And then he
when
said,
you have a pistol, but you don't
that
need
is
it,
why
shoot
that
with
is
the
why
pistol.
yesterday, Maestro, I said to you, he said to me, darling, the art in the use of power. Power is never used, it's only felt. It's like a gun with 1,000 bullets. The moment you use that gun once, it's no longer 1,000 bullets. It's already 999 bullets. So how can this man be bad? Yes, he was rich. He became very rich. Yes, he became very powerful. 20 years. Yes, he had all of this power. Because of his love of, he went, when you go intensity with to infinity, it is extravagance of the highest order and excessiveness of the highest order. But yet that extravagance was not used against man. It was used for man. Then that is the life of this man. It's not just the peripheral and so what was so very touching about this man, everything in his body failed. His heart, his lungs, his kidneys, his liver, his pancreas, his name it, every single organ. Every other day we were told this is going to be this is going to be that, this is going to be this. There's only one thing that did not fail him, his spirit. To the last 5 minutes, I said, Ferdinand, Buong is here. It was very touching. Buong's here. All the doctors were gone. Your son is here, Buong. Immediately opened his eyes, looked around. So first looked, saw Buong. Looked, he saw me, he saw his daughter, he saw his family. And then he smiled, and then my family was there. He closed his eyes, gone, finished. And Buong, like a miracle, was starting to, it was like, I give you my legacy. I give you me. You are now to be born from me. I die as you live.
Grabe. Nai-imagine ko yung senaryo no? Nung para nagbibigay na ng huling habilin si Ferdinand Marcos, no? Minulat yung mata, So, nakita niya si Bongbong, ikaw yung legacy ko, no? Ikaw yung magpapatuloy. Pag ako'y namatay, mabubuhay ako sa katauhan mo. Which is ganun yung parang ganun yung nakikita natin ngayon mga utol, no? Dahil presidente na si President Bongbong Marcos, yung karamihan, yung mga nakaabot sa ginawa, sa kabutihan ng kanyang ama, ganun yung tingin kay Bongbong Marcos, kay President Bongbong Marcos. Palagay nyo. Diba mga utol? Tuloy na natin para hindi tayo tumagal.
That is not my motherland where I grew up and was born. It's still a question, a big question in the minds and in the hearts not only of the family and myself, but the world in general. Why am I here? I was destined by the good Lord to be born in my country, the Philippines. And the reason for this commitment and obsession for a going home of the Marcoses to the Philippines is not only a matter of human right that I want to do this. It is an obligation, it is a responsibility to God. It is a pursuit of the divine will and divine right to do what is right and to bring him home where he can have eternal rest in his motherland. And this has been a question on the Marcos minds and those who are loyal to the vision, the principles, the goals that we have been committing ourselves and to millions of Filipinos. Why are the Marcoses here? This started some years ago, over 4 years ago, when we have problems, economic problem, because of the ideological difference in the Philippines. The Philippines being a very strategic geographic position where we are very close to the communist, Vietnam, China, Russia, all of this. And our country, being a country that has been exposed to Western civilization, there has been this continuous conflict of ideologies, conflict of the rich and poor, the feudal system of the very rich that was used really by our colonizers to rule the colony. And with all of these divisions of mankind, economic, social, political, religious, there was our problem in Mindanao between the Muslims and the Christians, wherein I had to go to Tripoli to help bring about the ceasefire agreement from Libya. There was a continuous conflict in all levels. And Ferdinand Marcos, being president of that country, in trying to look for a balance of the left and the right, the north and the south, the rich and the poor, and having alienated and having affiliated himself with the free world, now was even misunderstood by the free world in his act while he was trying to balance, and was completely misunderstood. To a point that one day, after he was asked that perhaps it seems that there is a lot of trouble in the Philippines, the immediate problem was you, Marcos, because you are not popular maybe anymore. You are not loved by your people and endorsed by your people. And so even if Ferdinand was elected in 81 to be president for 6 years up to 1987 June, on February 86, he accepted the challenge to submit himself to the public and the people. And true enough, he won in that election.
Ito yung kinikwento ni Madam Imelda, yung nangyaring snap election, 1986, mga utol, at yung pagkatapos ng pagkaproklama sa kanya, kasabay ding ipiroklama si Cory Aquino. Ngayon, sila ay, ito yung kinikwento niya, yung buong pangyayari na yung, pagkatapos nun, sila pinaalis, sa pilitang pinaalis ng Pilipinas, mga utol. Tapos yung kinikwento niya, no, yung mga hard decision, no, ni President Marcos back in the day, no, na palagay niya isa sa mga nagresulta kung bakit gustong-gusto nilang paalisin si Ferdinand Marcos. Okay? Yun. Tuloy na natin, mga utol.
He was proclaimed by the duly instituted office,
Ayan.
the COMELEC, the Commission on Election.
Comelec.
He was proclaimed by Parliament, the Batasan Pambansa, the duly instituted body that was to proclaim the winner of the election. And he even took his oath of office as president. And yet, he won in the election, and yet a group of so-called reformists in the military, and then later on succeeded by the Chief of Staff, General Ramos, and the National Defense Minister came in to bring about the coup. The coup was aborted, and Ramos and Enrile were held in a camp in the Philippines. And yes, they said there was people power because Cardinal Sin came in. They just came in to call for people power, but the claim was people power. But you can see now that it was more a media event because it was a focusing of the media to a group of people, not really the amount of people that there was. And so there was. He won in that election, but at the same time, he also was able to abort the coup because they were put there with not so many people, and supposedly helping him then, but there was the military there that could contend with that, and documentary pictures will show this eventually. But what really made us accept to ride in the U.S. Air Force plane, in a helicopter, was when we were being attacked by rockets that did not belong to the Philippine Armed Forces inventory.
Oh, teka lang. Ngayon ko lang to nalaman, no? Mga utol, no? Yung Malacanang inatake ng mga missile o rocket. Sabi according kay Madam Imelda, ha? Na yung mga tumira, yung missile na attract o rocket, hindi galing sa Philippine Armed Forces. Wala sa inventaryo nila. Wala silang ganong mga equipment o yung mga ganong sandata. Kanino yun? Well, anyway, habang nagkukwento siya, no, habang nakatutok ako, navivision ko kasi, nakikita ko, napipicture ko yung nangyayari. So, ini-imagine ko habang nakikinig ako, iniisip ko yung nangyayari. So, grabe talaga. Wala akong masabi, mga utol eh. Pero it's time, no? Para ilabas yung mga bagay na ito. Okay, mga utol? At saka, yung mga kwento sa pagkatao ni Ferdinand Marcos, ayon doon sa mga malalapit o sa mga nakakilala talaga sa kanya, talaga namamangha pa rin ako hanggang ngayon. Ewan ko kayo, mga utol. Siyempre, mas lalo na siguro yung mga tao nakaabot nung panahon ni Ferdinand Marcos. Okay, tuloy na natin.
They were using Philippine planes. Seemingly, we were being attacked by Filipinos, but in truth and in fact, the arms used there did not belong to the armory of the Republic of the Philippines. And so, even if earlier the chief of the CIA then and Mrs. Reagan was inviting us to the United States, I told Mrs. Reagan and she was inviting us for security to come to the United States. I said, thank you, madam. I said, but now that my country is in trouble, Ferdinand and I will be the last person to leave our country. But soon afterwards, when we were being attacked by rockets, the president finally and I, seeing my children and grandchildren's life being endangered, we may be ready to give our lives for our country, but the children did not yet have the will. And so we asked the children, my daughter and my son, to leave us and bring the children out, but they would not leave their parents behind in the palace. So finally, we accepted to ride the U.S. helicopter to go to Clark. And when we were in Clark Air Base, which is about 40 minutes by helicopter from the palace to Clark Air Base, when we were there, very soon after we were told if there is where we had to get out of the Clark Air Base, because now Clark Air Base was being surrounded by Filipino communists, and we were a danger being there. So the president said, so bring us then to Ilocos Norte, Pauay, my home province.
Pauay.
And so I prepared a plane, and me seeing the plane was quite small, so I was getting already a little suspicious. My woman instinct was saying I was going to feel danger. I looked at the plane, but the plane was small, so I said, this cannot go trans-Pacific. And going to the Pacific from Manila to Honolulu alone would be about 10 to 12 hours. So I said, looking at this small plane, I said, this will not bring us out of the country very far.
Ibig sabihin talaga, mga utol, wala talaga silang idea na dadalhin sila sa Hawaii o sa United States that time. Okay? Ang gusto lamang nila ay umuwi sa Ilocos Norte. O, sabi nga ni Imelda sa Pauay. Okay? From Clark Air Base, so from Malacanang, binitbit sila patungo sa Clark Air Base. Kasi nga, delikado na yung mga bata. Kung sila nga lang daw, okay lang sa kanila. Handa sila, paano yung mga bata? So napilitan silang umalis na Malacanang patungo sa Clark Air Base. So from Clark Air Base, so bawal daw sila doon dahil nga raw marami ng Filipino communist, bibitbitin sila sa Ilocos. So wala silang idea that time na bibitbitin sila papuntang Hawaii.
They must be honest bringing us to Ilocos, which is a small plane, which is only about an hour at the most away. True enough, we got into the plane, thinking we'd be brought to Ilocos. 1 hour passed by, 2 hours passed by. But meanwhile, the president was not too well, so I was very disturbed more about him than the length of this time. But after about 3 hours over, I said, where are we going? This is 3 hours already. And I don't see us landing yet. True enough, it was becoming dawn and we were going down, and I was looking down, and it was an island. It was not an island that looked like any of the islands of the Philippines. I am very knowledgeable and I am very familiar to our terrain of our country, even from air, because I campaigned in the 7,150 islands of my country. And so as we were going down, the general said, we are going down because we are going down to Guam, because we could not land in Ilocos Norte because there are communists that is ready to attack us there, waiting for us in Ilocos. So this is terrible. Then I leave. And so The others, history from Guam. It was the president got very sick and he had a high fever, and so I said, just bring us to any place where there is a first-class hospital, and right away, the sooner we get him there, the better. So the thing was to Hawaii, and when we got to Hawaii, we were brought in Hickam Air Base, and we stayed there for over 1 month. And we were in a cottage, half of which was a group of people from the Philippine Embassy and the military, the State Department, that was watching and hovering over us. And the 90-plus members of the staff and the family was in the barracks of Hickam. And I remember the president and I used to walk for several meters away at the clubhouse for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But it was a very humiliating time, a very depriving time, because our things, our valuables, had not come in. And it was a very difficult time because we did not even have our things, our personal effects, to the point that even as early as in Guam and in Honolulu, in Hawaii, we had go to PX for things like toothbrush, toothpaste, milk for the children, diapers, and all of this. And we had no money because all of our things were deprived us. And whatever money we had was peso bills. We had no dollar. I did not even have a single dollar because we were of no intent of going anywhere but our country. And to this day, we are still wondering why we are here in the United States. And worse, after 3 weeks, when Ferdinand was starting to be without fever anymore, and he was starting to be stronger, and he was even able to jog a bit, going to back and forth to the cottage down to the officers' club for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They started to see that Marcos was getting stronger. After a few weeks at Hickam Air Base here in Hawaii, when the president was starting gaining more vigor and health, and he was no longer with a high fever as when he was taken out of the Philippines, there was a big demand for the Filipino community. We have a big community in Hawaii of Filipinos that wanted to meet with him. And also the media. Finally, those who were taking care of us inside could not resist but have to make us go on a press conference. In that press conference, there was a prepared statement agreed upon by now our the people who was in charge of us, that they would make a certain statement. And as I look back to it, it was made to look like we had fled the country, that we had gone out of our country and not received out of our country.
Ayan mga utol, no? Kasi 'di ba, ang pinalalabas ay tumakas daw, di umano, yung pamilyang Marcos patungo sa Hawaii. Yun yung nalaman nating lahat, 'di ba? Yun yung lumabas sa media, sa mga mainstream media na dati. Na sila, ang pamilya Marcos ay tumakas papunta sa US. Pero yung statement daw na ito ay prepared. Okay, naka-ready na. Eto sabihin mo. Grabe, no? Wala nga daw silang plano na umalis man lang ng bansa. Ang gusto lamang nila ay umuwi ng Ilocos Norte. At yan ay marami rin nagpapatotoo mga utol, di ba? Marami rin nagsabi niyan. Yung napakadami ng... Grabe, no? Ang hirap nung dinaanan nila, no? Isipin mo, ni pambili ng diaper, wala. Ay, may nabasa ako kasi, yung isang interview yata kay Bongbong Marcos nung sila ay nasa Hawaii, parang may nag-comment doon, no? Ito yung nag-comment, nasa Hawaii nung panahon na dumating ang pamilyang Marcos. Ngayon, nasabi niya sa comment, naawa daw sila, tinutulungan daw nila kasi may sakit si Apo Lakay, dinadalhan daw nila yung pamilya ng mga kung ano-anong mga pagkain, dahil nga raw walang dalang pera, walang kahit ano, walang mga gamit na dala. 'Di ba? Grabe yung dinaanan nitong pamilya na ito. Tapos sa Pilipinas, panay tuloy-tuloy yung paninira sa kanila na tumakas nga raw, hindi naman tumakas. 'Di ba mga utol, tuloy na natin.
Because it was not our will and our desire to leave
Ayan, no?
the Philippines. And so, but as the president gained more health and vigor, and there was more pressure to know what was going on. So, in the next few days, we were descended upon suits after suits after suits and after suits until all of us were sued for one thing or another, from smuggling to criminal acts or whatever, or all kinds of cases, including my grandchildren. I had 4 grandchildren then, and the eldest was the only one who could walk. The 3 could hardly walk. They were so young, and yet they had smuggling cases.
Grabe naman. Ayun, no?
against them.
Grabe naman. Pati mga apo na wala yung maliliit, no? Hindi pa nga nakakalakad yung 3 nga daw. 4 yung grandchildren, yung isa pa lang ang nakakalakad. Malamang si Borgie, no? May mga kaso na rin. May mga... Paano nangyari yun? At saka diba, yung mga ibang karamihan sa mga kaso nila ay nilitis dyan. At saka eto mga utol, ang dami rin nagsasabi, paulit-ulit na rin natin naririnig ito, nung panahon nandiyan sila gustong-gusto nilang umuwi ng Pilipinas. Partikular o lalong-lalo na nung namatay yung nanay ni Ferdinand Marcos na si Josefa, no? Gusto niyang umuwi sa Pilipinas, hindi siya pinayagan. Namatay si Ferdinand Marcos, gusto siyang iuwi ng pamilyang Marcos sa kanyang bayang Sinilangan, ngunit hindi siya pinayagan. Sa pagkakaalam ko, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, 1990 o 1991 na yata nakauwi ang pamilyang Marcos. 'Di ba? Gusto lang nilang ilibing si Ferdinand Marcos at nung mga nakaraan, no, gusto pang hukayin yung labi ni Ferdinand Marcos dahil hindi daw dapat o nararapat ilibing sa libingin ng mga bayani. Grabe. Grabe na, garabihan lang ako. Inhuman. Yung ano nila, inhuman. Yun ang perfect term. Para sa akin mga utol, ewan ko sa inyo, pero yun, gusto ko malaman ang inyong mga komento hinggil dito sa mga kwento ni Madam Imelda. Tuloy na natin.
And children of our staff, there were 40.
Pati mga staff mo, meron.
So, we were taken out of the Philippines.
We were taken out of the Philippines against our will.
We came to the United States not in a Philippine Air Force plane or our own private plane, which we had 2 even before Marcos became president. We did not ride in our own personal plane. We were taken in a U.S. Air Force plane.
Ayan mga utol, malinaw na yan. Yung paglilinaw na yan. Alam kong paulit-ulit na natin ito naririnig. Pero yun nga yung lumabas kasi dati na sila daw ay tumakas ng Pilipinas. Eto malinaw. Kwento ni Madam Imelda. At kung anong klaseng pagkatao meron si Ferdinand Marcos. Anyway, eto'y part 1 pa lamang. Ilalabas din natin o hahalukayin ko yung part 2 nito, yung karugtong nito mga utol. Hanggang dito lang muna. Gusto ko malaman ang iyong mga komento at huwag nyo kakalimutang mag-like and mag-subscribe mga utol. Muli ako si Target Achilles in behalf of the Real South Pride Production. Ako ay nagpapasalamat sa inyong walang sawang pagsuporta. Tayo hindi titigil. Maglalabas tayo ng mga karapat dapat nating malaman. Pero palagi ang opinion at ang mga teorya ay palaging sa inyo pa rin manggagaling. Mag-iingat lamang tayo sa ng katotohanan, sa pagtanggap kung ano ang katotohanan sa hindi. Anyway, hanggang doon lang muna. Keep safe mga utol. God bless at saludo po ako sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat.